Hello, welcome to 101 Special, reaching you from iBrandTV. I am Femi Johnson Nayadele. Today's conversation is taking place with a special guest, one of the prominent legal icons as far as Africa is concerned. He is the former chairman, NBA Ikeja branch, and the present chairman of SPIDA, Dr. Monday Oyekachi Ubani.
Thank you, Femi.
Glad to have you.
Thank you, Femi, for having me.
Let me say you happy birthday because you celebrated your birthday a few days ago.
That's correct.
So let me ask you, let's start with this. How do you feel celebrating your birthday, as the only surviving child of your parents?
Yeah, Femi, I most appreciate you once again for having me. I want to thank God for life. Of course, the country where we are living in, if you manage to succeed in living for one extra year in good health with your children alive and your wife and your even parents, because my two parents, my mother and father, they are alive. You have every cause to be grateful to God, and that's why this year I was very happy. I shut down the internet, all over. People were sending congratulatory messages all over, Facebook, on WhatsApp.
The news was all over.
Yes, and even the hardcore newspapers also carried my birthday, and there were good messages. I'm so grateful. I'm the surviving son and child of my parents. My sister died, and that was over 10 years ago. But she has children, and those children, God has given me the opportunity to take care of them. So I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to also to be healthy, and I'm also happy for the little contribution I'm making on national development, and then the role we are playing in order to have a country all of us should be proud of. So for all these things, I am grateful to God, and I'm happy that you are interviewing me even today to find out how happy I am. So thank you once again for having me.
Let's go to what informed your decision to study law.
Yes, there were some factors that made it possible for me to read law. I was initially admitted to study political science in University of Nigeria in Nsukka, 1983. I had wanted to be a politician. A flamboyant one like that, because I know that Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe read political science in university in America, so I wanted to follow suit in reading political science, then come out and be a flamboyant politician with the ability to capture crowd, hold them spellbound with the power of oratory. So that informed my decision. But certain things happened when I was admitted. One, I began to see the involvement of the late Ganifa Omi as a lawyer, who was using the legal profession in order to right in the wrongs of the society, fighting injustice, fighting for the violation of rights of the oppressed and the poor, and his philanthropy. So I was moved towards that direction. Now, this is the kind of person I want to imitate and emulate. He became a mentor. And so, as if I want to emulate him, then I have to also read the course that he read, and that is law. Then secondly, when the present President Buhari overthrew Shagari's government, a lot of things happened while I was in university. I saw that people would graduate and they were not getting jobs anymore. Because when I entered university, companies were coming to the university to come and pick graduates and employ them directly. They were picking graduates. But from 84, things turned around for the worse, and the economy was worsening. And I said, look, if I finish from this law, I beg to apply. I won't like a situation where I have to look for job and I will not get that opportunity, more so when I'm the only son. So I needed to do something that will make me to actually be independent and then fulfill my life ambition now of fighting for the oppressed. That's why I had to change to the same university, but the law faculty, but I lost 2 years. I went and resumed year 1 in 1985. Mind you, I was admitted in 1983. 83, first year. 84, second year. I was to move to third year in 85. But I had to now start year 1 in 85 in law faculty. And so my movement towards law was informed by the main reason of Gani, whose attitude and character informed my decision that I have to be a lawyer in order to play my own role in national life. And I'm very happy today that I took that decision, because I imitate virtually what Gani did, and I will continue to improve upon it as years goes by. That's my ambition.
All right. As a prominent lawyer, I know you must have handled several cases. But I would like to make reference to your first appearance in court.
Yes.
Can you remember or tell us your experience and what particular case you had to handle at that time?
Yes, the first case I handled was is a case of a man that was accused of a criminal offense. And I was to stand to argue his bail application. And I did not know how to go about it. But luckily for me, I had a senior in the person of Joseph Oshoke. Oshoke is still practicing here in Ikeja jurisdiction. He was my senior, I think a year or 2 years senior. So he told me how to move the application. That I should apply, that my client should be granted bail on very liberal terms. And that is when I heard the first word, liberal terms, And I felt in love with the word liberal terms, So when it was time, the client begged me to really help him, because one, according to him, he did not have any lawyer, and he felt that I would be able to stand for him. So he agreed to pay me if he gets out. So I succeeded in moving an application for his bail, and he was granted bail under very liberal terms. I also helped in processing for him to come out, because it was a time that when you move for bail application, you can perfect your bail in the same day. But it's no longer possible now under our condition that we're operating now. The accused person must certainly go to prison before you perfect his bail condition, because they have made it more elaborate in terms of fulfillment. So I moved, and he was granted, and then he eventually came out. But unfortunately, he didn't pay me. He told me that he didn't have money. I said that the following day he's going to come and see me and pay me, and all that. He never did. That was the first case I handled, and it started with pro bono. So that it was handled free of charge, they didn't pay anything. But the experience was tremendous for me as a lawyer. It was very, very tremendous for me as a lawyer. But the most important one that I cannot forget was my experience in Kano, which is where I went to do my youth service. In the law firm of Kyari and Co, where I was posted to, I came to inherit a case where they have levied execution against our client. And we have to now file an application to set aside the execution, that it was improper. And being a copper, I was entrusted now to go and move that application to set aside the execution itself and get the man out of trouble. I went, and the lawyer that I met was a very senior lawyer in Kano. He was the one that came to oppose the application, with his counter affidavit, And that lawyer today is my good friend. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria now. He was made senior advocate of Nigeria, I think 3 years ago. I could not believe it when I moved my application for setting aside. The court there and then adjourned to chambers, in order to go and write the ruling. Came back and read the ruling, setting aside that particular judgment and the execution that was levied. I couldn't believe it. And that same day, we were able to take back all the properties that have already been carried to the court.
Interesting.
When I came back, my principal could not believe it. My principal, in the person of Kyari Ubani, could not believe that, So he now started to say this lawyer is going to go places and all that. I started having confidence in me. Before I came back to Lagos, I've already handled matter to Court of Appeal in Kaduna of a student that was caught while he was cheating. And I went to court because they dismissed him, they expelled him from the University of Maiduguri. Because the man who caught him was also a member of the panel that sat to expel him. I felt that was a breach of his fundamental right to fair hearing. You can't be a judge in your own case. But the judge at the lower court refused because his son was a lawyer for the university. We didn't know until after the case, so we had to appeal. And then I went to Court of Appeal in Kaduna. The case was still pending until I finished my service and came back to Lagos. So even at the corper level, I've already appeared before the Court of Appeal in Kaduna, as a young corper. So it's been a wonderful time, as a lawyer. So these are my first experiences I had, when I was called to the bar. And they were beautiful experiences, As I told you, imagine moving an application for the first time and the court granted you that application. It will make you to have your confidence boosted. You feel that with this, you can go places as a lawyer, as a litigation lawyer, as an advocate of law and all that. And it has actually really helped me. Anytime I remember that my first appearance, the court granted my order, it boosts my confidence most of the times in court.
That's great. Good to know. Now let's talk about NBA,
Yes.
which you were the chairman in Ikeja branch and also the second vice president. There are some Nigerians who believe that NBA is politicized these days.
Yes.
And looking at some of the crises that trails the election and then the internal leadership crisis. What's your take on this?
NBA is supposed to be a voice for the voiceless. Just like everything Nigerian, we have been having problem on leadership, recruitment of leadership, electoral process, almost 3 consecutive times now. All the electoral processes have been challenged in court. The fairness has been questioned. And some of us are getting worried, that if we continue like this, we may lose credibility and we cannot be a voice for the voiceless. NBA is a pressure group. So they must be seen to be clearly impartial. They must be seen to be integrity-laden. They must be seen to be credible. The leadership must be respected so that when they speak, the government knows that they are not coming from the biased point of view. They are speaking on behalf of the majority of Nigerians. So the electoral process has been questionable, but the good thing and the good news is that the present leadership has made up its mind that they want to correct all that. The previous flaws will not repeat itself, they emphasize. A committee has been set up to look at our electoral fairness and ensure that the subsequent election will not in any way raise controversy and crisis or even litigation. So that is being worked on, and I believe the present leadership will be able to handle that aspect in order to get it right. Because if we can't get it right in our own profession, we don't have any right to criticize what goes on at the national level. And so I believe that will be taken care of based upon the promises that the present leadership has made. Now, we must be careful also who we recruit. You cannot get people who have never seen anything in governance, wrong in governance, who have never criticized government when they are not doing things rightly. A lawyer who has no pedigree in looking out for people whose voices cannot be heard, who have not spoken on behalf of the masses of the country, whose pedigree and antecedent is not pro-masses to occupy the position of leadership of NBA. The moment you don't have the correct kind of leadership in NBA, then you don't expect NBA to play the role it ought to play. So the recruitment process is key. But what I discovered over time now is that money now is what is just ruling also, our NBA. Because of the economic situation in the country, somebody who has so much money comes around, throws around and becomes NBA president. And there is no way he can be expected to perform. And that's the truth. Let's tell the truth. We have made mistake also in national recruitment of leadership from 1999 to date. We keep on making mistakes. You're allowing wrong people to occupy Senate, House of Reps, governorship position, presidency, and you expect miracle. It can't happen. It can't happen. You can't have brains, intelligent men that can run this country effectively. When they want to contest, you're asking them for money. Before you can elect them, you're asking for a bag of rice. And they won't give you because they don't have it. But they have intelligence. They have the knowledge. They have the wisdom. They have the patriotism in order to be allowed to occupy a position of leadership. You don't want them. You prefer the money bags. Most of them are people whose records are questionable. You don't know even how they come about the money they have made, and they throw it on us. And even little at that. And then you now give them position to occupy. There is no way they can give you back whatever you want. So the recruitment process is nationally and even in our profession, and it's unfortunate for people who are learned. So I've seen it happen where even at the branch level, you see people who have no antecedent, who cannot in any way manage and give result, being given position, and then we expect a miracle to happen. So I should blame the electorate. We should now be concentrating on the electorate who are making the wrong choices. Look at the election that happened in Lagos State now on local government. You cannot plant apple and expect orange. It's not possible. As long as we allow people who have no competence to preside over the affairs of Nigeria at every strata, we cannot have the kind of change or revolution we desire. It's impossible.
This will take us to looking at the state of the nation.
Yes.
How will you assess Muhammadu Buhari's administration?
I want to start by saying that I was one of those who advocated for the ascendancy into power by President Buhari. I was in the forefront. In fact, I had a radio program that I was running on Radio Continental for 4 solid years. And reviewing, advocating, convincing Nigerians, especially my followers, that we need to have a change, especially with the experience we had with the previous government that was not doing well, and Nigeria was not moving forward. And I felt that the best thing is to bring in Oshibajo, who is a professor of law, as a vice president, and maybe President Buhari himself, who has tried 3 times and was not given that opportunity. Maybe he has something to offer. So I was one of those that really campaigned in order for him to come in. From 2015 to date, I must tell you that I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with the output. I'm not impressed with leadership. And the promises they made, they have not been able to fulfill any one. Of course, we're here now. There's no light. We are conducting this interview with generator. This is my office. Every day I burn generator from morning till I live here. Virtually every day. You can't succeed in that way. I went to Ghana 2 years ago. Throughout my 2-week stay in Ghana, or 10 days, there was no single minute or second light was taken. I was in Ghana. I'm not talking about America now, into countries. Ghana. I've been to Ghana. I also have been to Liberia, and I don't think that light was, the way frequently they take light here. For hours you won't have light. As I say, every day I come here. You are here now. The light has not lasted 30 minutes. They took it. From this time now till I close work, to be like that in darkness. So you can't run a country that way. So I had thought that there are certain things basically that the government of President Buhari would have addressed on the basic infrastructures and all that. There is no improvement. If I tell you there's an improvement, it's a lie. You are going to Abuja now from Lagos on the road and drive, and whether you can have uninterrupted stoppage. I mean a round to Abuja. By driving. The roads are bad. Get to Kogi and all those places, they are not passable. You may even be lucky if you survive without being attacked, or being kidnapped on the road. These are promises he made in tackling insecurity, tackling basic infrastructures. There is no standard road you can claim today we have in any country. Any state of Nigeria. There is none. There is none. You can say this is a standard road. I can take off now from Lagos as I'm going to East. From here to East is very good. It's something in the eastern region. It's something everywhere. So, is it corruption they say they will tackle? You hear corruption all over the place. Even the so-called corruption czar, those who are fighting corruption, are involved in corruption, are involved in corrupt practices. So they have not done well based upon the promises they made and based upon some of the confidence we reposed upon them that they will change basically some of the narratives of the country. Nigeria has been very backwards in everything. Educationally, we know how much we spend in terms of billions sending our awards to foreign countries. When I was in university under the military, we used to have foreigners in the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Today, you'll be very fortunate to have any African student in any of our Nigerian universities. Then is it on the health? As I speak to you, our president is abroad taking medical treatment abroad. And of course, somebody now tells me because he had money and has been using foreign medical doctors, and now that he has become president, there is no way he can stop using it and all that. What kind of excuse is that? I don't know whether these guys hear themselves when they speak. How can you, who promised to come and set up and revive our health care sector, be going abroad to go and take medical treatment, and you're justifying it by saying when you were a private citizen, you had a doctor, and you must continue to use that same doctor even when you become the president abroad, not even in Nigeria. And you want me to believe you that you came with intention to change anything and all that. There is no single hospital today you can walk in and see everything is in order. My uncle, the wife just fell sick recently and they carried her to Lut, no space. To Lasut, no space. He had to go to a private university, for medical treatment, Babcock, and come and see the bill. So how can you have a country like that? For solid 6 years, you promised to change all the narrative, and today, some of those who are in government are not telling them the truth. They keep on telling Buhari that he has accomplished a lot, he has done this and all. There's nothing I'm seeing. So my assessment of him is that in every promise, in all the promises he made, there is no single promise he has actually fulfilled. He has not tackled insecurity. The economic situation is so bad. In fact, it's worse. The corruption index, we are not being rated, fairly. I mean, better. We are still faring badly. And so there is no aspect. Basic infrastructures have not been, put into, the educational sector. He went for educational summit in UK, according to him. And I hear what he said, that he's going to increase the budget. So he had to go to London in order to promise of increase. Why didn't he increase it before now? So President Buhari failed me in every aspect, I must tell you. I'm not happy with his level of output. He didn't seem to understand the level of rot in the system before he came into governance. If he did, the level of his capacity, maybe it shouldn't have been the level it is. He has breached our laws. He's going abroad for medical treatment, he does not hand over, whereas the constitution says anytime he's going on leave, medical leave or whatever leave, he has to hand over to his vice. He has breached that several times. He has disobeyed court orders. He has violated people's rights. I was a victim of his, under Magu. I was arrested wrongly and kept in detention for 23 days. What was the offense? That I brought somebody that accused of a crime and the woman came back at my instance. Instead of charging the woman to court, you drove the woman back abroad and still want me to go and produce her. I still went after the woman and placed her on red alert. When I brought that information to Magu that the woman had been placed on red alert by Interpol, Magu said, "Who asked you to do that?" And they asked me to be, sent to detention camp. I was detained. Even when there was a court order that I should be released, Magu refused to obey that court order. I'm happy today that he is facing, ignominy and disgrace and embarrassment.
It's really pathetic if a prominent lawyer like you has
Yes.
to go through all this.
Yes.
I wonder what happens to a civilian.
Yes.
What does this say about the justice system in Nigeria?
Our justice administration of criminal justice is so bad, so poor. There is none. One, they don't even investigate, appropriately. They don't have the wherewithal. You see how Hush Puppy has pleaded guilty. Why? Because before they come for you for arrest, they would have gathered all the evidence. And then when they come in and ask you to answer and show you all the avalanche of evidence they have against you, you have no choice than to say, look, is there any way out of this mess? They don't come and arrest you and begin to fish for evidence, which is what happens with our security agencies. Most of these cases they are handling, and that's why they always lose those cases, is that they don't carry out any proper investigation. Don't be surprised that most of these high-profile cases, Igbo's, Sowore, Jalingo, Abba Jalingo, Nnamdi Kanu, at the end, and just like what happened to Ezazaki, where you had kept him in detention now for 6 years, only for that particular matter to be thrown out. Why? Because you don't have any evidence linking him to the crime. But meanwhile, you have kept him in detention when he has not been convicted, because the law presumes any person accused of any crime has been innocent until the contrary is proved. Even when the court ordered that he should be released on bail, you disobeyed it, believing you have evidence to convict him. Now you have not been able because the court says there is no evidence. So the issue is that our administration of criminal justice has issues. If you talk about investigation, most times they don't employ technology in investigation. If we begin to employ technology, it's going to help so much. See that particular Abba supermarket that was burned recently. You saw how the CCTV picked out the girl that carried out that particular crime. You see what technology has done. If there is no CCTV, would you know that nobody will know who has committed that crime? Evidence, yeah. That's why I say deploy technology. Let everywhere be CCTV'd in the country. It will help. By the time you want to make arrest, be sure you have done your homework as a security agent. Don't go after somebody and then get him into custody and now begin to fish for evidence.
Let's chip in the indictment of the super call, Abba Kyari.
Yes.
What's your reaction to this development?
Abba Kyari is somebody most of us have come to admire because of his level of intelligence and efficiency. There is no job given to him he has not carried out effectively. Most of these high-profile crimes and criminals, he has actually arrested them. And he has done it very professionally well. But getting involved with somebody of questionable character who used him to go and arrest a colleague who in crime, is what is actually trying now to play and destroy his reputation that he has built over years. It's an unfortunate incident. I just pray and hope that he comes clean on this. He has given up a defense which further implicated him. If you say, look, why somebody gave me an information that turned out to be false, what people are saying that you would have gotten him arrested for giving him false information that led to the arrest of that young man, because he kept that young man another 1 month in detention. Again, that is clearly a violation of his right. You're not supposed to more than 24 hours. If there's any crime, you charge him. You are not supposed to have kept him in detention for 30 days, going by what happened. And according to the story, he was kept in prison, in that detention, in order to allow a hush puppy to carry out his scam on the victim from Qatar. Are you following me? And that was to the knowledge, according to them, of our brother, Abba Kyari. So he just got himself messed up in this. But if he has a better explanation, because he has to have his day to explain his own side of the story, I will be happy for him to be exculpated. I will be happy for him to be exonerated, because he is somebody that some of us are looking forward to seeing on top of the Nigerian police hierarchy. I want somebody like Abba Kyari to be the IG of this country, because this is a man that has eye to detect where criminals are and fish them out. But if he doesn't have straight character, if he doesn't have integrity, if he doesn't have good reputation, then I cannot wish him to be the IG. But if you have a straight character, man of integrity and all that, I would want him, in combination of his efficiency level, to occupy IG's position. So I don't want anything that will actually spoil his career. I just want this to be a lesson for him, that there is a level you occupy in life that you don't get involved with certain persons whose character is questionable. Because he started getting mixed up with some certain persons, and people were beginning to wag their tongue, oh, why is he with this person? Why? And these are people whose characters are not, good, quote, within the purview of public perception. So it's a lesson if he gets out of it, but if he goes down, I will not be a happy person. I will not rejoice over Abba Kyari's fall. I will not. But I think that what the government may likely do is either they, after reviewing the evidence, either hand him over by extradition process.
Do you see that happening? And
Or they may want to try, to investigate him and try him here in the country. Or exonerate him if they don't find anything indictable. Are you following me? But then they have to weigh their relationship with America, what they stand to lose if they fail to hand him over to America. Because diplomatic, consideration have to come in. If you have a perfect relationship with America and you expect so much from them, would they want to sacrifice national interest because of a personal interest of Abba Kyari? So these are some of the things that will come into consideration.